Hi, Professor. Our group 2 has chosen a topic H&M personalized fashion recommendation from the Kaggle competition. And here we are going to present on this topic. Here are our team members, Supriya, myself, Rohini, Sahiti, and Abita, and Deepthi and Priyanka. And the content in our presentation is first we are going to explain about the abstract and then followed by introduction and then a problem statement and the what algorithms we have used and the implementation and the data visualization, data aggregation, and finally we will conclude this presentation. Coming to the abstract, H&M is a business store that offers shoppers an extensive collection of products. But with multiple choices, customer might not quietly find what interests them or what they are looking for. So to enhance the shopping experience, we need to provide a feature called product recommendations. Product recommendations help customers to make the right choice quickly. Whereas H&M Group is giving the opportunity to enter this competition by asking to create a product recommendation using information from prior transaction, in addition to information from the customer and product metadata. Simple data such as the type of clothing and the age of the client, as well as the text data from product description and image data from garment photographs, make us the available metadata. Using the machine learning models, we are trying to analyze the above data and make predictions to provide these product recommendations to the customers. Using the data sets which has information on customer purchases and the transaction details, we can analyze and provide better recommendations using the machine learning techniques that will help the H&M brand to enhance its customer interaction. Whereas introduction will be continued by our next teammate.
Hi, Professor. Coming to introduction, the main goal of this project is to create a machine learning model for the task assigned. Here, the history of clients will be given over time as well as the supporting metadata. Our main task is to forecast articles each customer who buys in the 7-day period following the completion of the training data. Here, H&M Group gives opportunity work on this project to create product suggestions based on data from prior transactions as well as the customer and the product metadata. Here, this collaborative project will allows the students like us to apply their knowledge by conducting hands-on tasks such as setting up the Python environment and applying the corresponding algorithms to data aggregate and data cleaning and data visualization process. And all the computer professionals require these minimum skills to implement the projects of this type. And H&M Group also trying to create product suggestions based on data from prior transactions. From the text data, product descriptions, and image data from garment photographs. And coming to the problem statement, here we utilize the information given by the data sets from the H&M personalized recommendations. And also H&M gives us the opportunity to develop a product recommendation system. The type of products that customers will buy in a specific window of time, that is a 7 days or a 14 days. Here we use the 7 days period of time following the data sets end must be accurately predicted. And the next slide will be continued by my teammate.
Hi, Professor. Myself.
Abita, I think we lost your connection.
The most recent version of Python, click download. So we choose the data sets and can start analysis, which include data loading, data cleaning, data branding, and aggregation and plotting. In order to work our project with above mentioned task, we use Jupyter Notebook, which is available in Annapurna. Coming to metrics, To validate the classification model, there are three main metrics such as accuracy, precision, and recall. Coming to accuracy, it's often statistics for classification issues. It gives equal weight to true positive and true negative, where accuracy is like the sum of true positive and true negative by data set size. Coming to precision, it explains how many correctly predicted values came out to be positive, or simply it gives the number of correct outputs given by the model out of all the correctly predicted positive values. So precision is true positive by true positive plus false positive. Coming to recall, it describes how many of the actual positive values are to be predicted correctly out of the model. It is useful for false negative dominate false positives. Recall is like true positive by sum of true positive plus false negative. And few and other slides will be explained by one of my teammate, Supriya.
Hello, Professor. The algorithm we used here is random forest algorithm. We choose this algorithm amongst the other machine learning algorithm because random forest is a supervised machine learning algorithm that can be used for both regression and classification tasks. It can combine multiple weak models and create a stronger overall model. In a random forest model, multiple decision trees are constructed by randomly selecting a subset of features from the training data at each node. The trees are trained independently using different subsets of the training data and features, which helps to reduce the risk of overfitting. During the prediction phase, each tree in the forest produces a prediction, and the final prediction is made by aggregating the predictions of all the trees. The aggregation method typically involves taking the average for regression problems and using a voting system for classification problems. Random forest has several advantages over single decision tree models, such as improved accuracy, resistance of overfitting, ability to handle missing data, robustness, and flexibility. And it can be applied to a wide range of real world problems. And the implementation here, we have made it into two stages. In the first stage is called training stage, and the second stage is called testing stage. At this stage, and at the first primary stage, we categorize the pictorial data and fed it to the model. And in the testing stage, we give the model a brand new data and work with it to focus the outcomes. This is done to evaluate the model's ability to predict the data. Transfer learning techniques can be used to increase accuracy. Transfer learning technique in machine learning is that involves reusing a pre-trained model, typically trained on a large data set to solve different but related problems. Transfer learning is based on the idea that feature learning by a pre-trained model can be useful for a new task, even if the tasks are different. And the next slide will be explained by my teammate.
Hi, Professor. My name is Deepthi. And here for the data visualization, we took three data sets from the Kaggle.com. So in this, we took transactions, articles, and consumers data. So for this article, we took data like, for example, in this article ID, so we see the product names, numbers, and its color, and the group number, all these types of data. Regarding this, we are using our predictions, like we are plotting the graphs regarding this one. So this is the another customer data. These are the postal codes regarding the fashion members and the club members and their transaction IDs. So when it comes to the data visualization, we have used three perspectives like time, color, and the day. These visualization data or creating graphs will be these graphs will helps to understand our concept more faster. So it will boost the productivity and the results. So for the first, we use the color distribution. In this, we can see the color plotting, so color groups and the count. Here we can see ninth color has the highest count, and the second highest as the 10. So when it comes to the time distribution, we took a month and a month regarding the count. Here we can see the 6 months having the highest transaction count. So regarding this, we can see the time distribution line too. So by database visualization regarding the day, we can see that uh, all along the month, we can see the 28th day as the highest day of visualization regarding the data. So we found the 28th day as the highest number of transactions when it compares to other days, and the second highest as the 30. So the next slides will be continued by one of our teammate, Sahiti.
Thank you, Deepti. Hi, Professor. Myself, Sahiti. So, as we visualize the data, the next coming is the data aggregation and cleaning. So, basically, we'll use the data aggregation, like we use whatever the data we collected so far, and we try to present that in a more summary form or a more understandable format. So, in order to get more understanding of the business goals, we try to aggregate and summarize all the data in a usable format. So what we used is we used a method called data frame object, where we tried to read the transaction CSV file, and we tried to describe it so that it clearly shows us what's the count and what is the mean and what's the percentage of the analyzed data. So I will just go through the code so that how we analyzed it and what are the various methods we have used to analyze all these data sets. So here, if you see, we have imported all the MATLAB and the machine learning libraries like Pandas, NumPy, Seaborn, and TensorFlow. And we tried loading all the data sets that we acquired from the Kaggle.com competition. So we got these 3 data sets, as we have said in our earlier presentation slides. So we took articles, customers, and the transaction train. So here initially we are trying to load the data set, and once the data set is loaded, we are trying to visualize it. So before we start the visualization, to clearly analyze it, we have actually grouping it by some of the columns like product type and the group name, and also we are taking the article ID, and we are trying to count what are the accessories that it has and what are the product names and what is the type of the product. So if you see the output here, we clearly we are getting like how many, what is the product name, product type, and the count of each of the product. So once we got that, we are trying to now analyze the articles based on the their ID and the color ID. So here, if you see, we are clearly getting the product codes and the group codes of each of the customer. And now to as said in the presentation, we have tried to visualize the graphs using 3 things, which is like day, month, and the color. So if you see here, we use the plot.figure method, and we are trying to merge the color code that we got earlier, and we are trying to plot the graph. If you see here, this is like the 9th code where we have the higher number of transactions. Likewise, we have written code to plot the graph which shows the month transactions, like on which month the customer has high transactions. So if you see here, the June month has higher number of transactions. Likewise, we use the same code to count plot the day, like which day the customer has made large number of transactions. So if you see the 28th, we had large number of transactions. So we use this plot.figure method. So now once as we are done with the visualizations, then we gonna have data wrangling and data aggregation. So as we said, we are using this transactions.csv file, and we are trying to describe that data set first, and we are trying to get the info from it to see what are all the columns and data types it has, and we are just getting the head of that transaction file. And once we get that, we are trying to read the timestamp of that transaction file and trying to see the 10,000 samples of the transactions to check what is the sample size and what is the shape of that particular transactions, to analyze and to predict the model in our future steps. So once we got the shape of the transaction data, we are trying to join the customer data, and we try to merge all those customer data based on the customer ID. And we are again, whatever the customer data we got, we tried printing that head so that it clearly show us the details like what's the customer ID, article ID and all. And likewise, we are actually checking for the null values and what's the count of NA in that transaction file. And we are trying to print that sample unique values here. And we are also trying to check the active columns which are having with the 0. And then we are trying to search for the most frequent value, and we are trying to imputate it with the most frequent value. Once we got this, we are trying to categorize the data, and we are trying to categorize all this data, and we are considering the datetime objects, and we tried encoding all the categorical features we have in the data sets. And once we see, we are also to prevent any data leakage, we are trying to actually drop the price, and we have used the article ID and the access data to get those particular data sets in a clear manner. And then the correlation matrix is what we use to plot all the data together. So if you see here, we are using again the libraries, the MATLAB libraries such as Seaborn and Matplotlib. So if you can see here, we are plotting, which has all the data, like what's the customer data, and we are trying to plot it against the axis. And then, as we said in the presentation, we have used the random forest machine learning algorithm, as it provides a better results, and it gives the precision in a more accurate manner when compared to the other machine learning algorithms. So if you see here, we are trying to import the train test split, and we are like splitting the train, and we are testing the data from the data we have acquired in the earlier steps, and we are creating a model using the random forest classifier. And once we got the model, we are trying to fit it using the X train and Y train, and then we are trying to predict the model. And we are printing the prediction labels, and once we get the prediction label, we are using the mean absolute error and the sklearn metrics import library, and where we are calculating the absolute error and the predictions. You can see this is like the output for that. So this is what is the code we have used to analyze the data sets we have in our H&M recommendations. So to conclude, I can say we utilize the random forest machine learning algorithm, and we successfully learned and analyzed the complete data sets we got from the kaggle.com. And also additionally, we tried selecting a algorithm, we trained the model, and we even validated the model, and we checked for the mean absolute error as well. And we also understood how to pre-process a data set and how we can provide better recommendations to the customers using the data we have, which provides the customers a better opportunity to select their products in an easy manner. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to present the topic.